Hello and welcome to a quick review of Dwarf Fortress by Baitwell Games and published by Kitfox. And finally it's around. I never believed a graphical version of Dwarf Fortress would actually be a thing. I used to play a bunch of this game back in the day, like thousands of hours literally, and I actually started my whole streaming career with the game as well. So I'm pretty well. Whereas except I haven't played in a couple of recent years that much, but I've been following how the game progresses, and obviously waiting for the graphical release myself as well. And we'll see if the wait has been worth it. I haven't really played enough yet, but I will be playing obviously more. But this is just a quick review of the launch of the not the early access, but the launch of the graphical version with the UI updates and all of that on Steam. And let me emphasize this first, that while some of what I'm going to be saying is negative, it's because it comes from a place that I really care and like the game, and I want it to be better, and not because I really hate the game or anything like that. So if it might sound negative, it's because I just want it to be better, while it might not be there exactly in some of the parts yet. And I just want to make it better. It's just such a fun game that everyone should be enjoying. And with the graphical release, some of my biggest hopes for the game was that it would be a lot more approachable for a lot of people, because a lot of people have been saying from the old ASCII version that it's hard to get into because of the arcane graphic style, which I like, to be honest, and also the UI and all that, and all the quirks that come with the Dwarf Fortress. And I definitely feel like many of those have been solved now by the graphical version. Like, I had really fun on some parts, but there's also the underlying Dwarf Fortress is still Dwarf Fortress, and also getting into the graphical version has introduced some new bugs and issues that are plaguing people, and hopefully a lot of those get ironed out as soon as possible. Let's go to jump into settings. So Dwarf Fortress, if you haven't played the game, is a colony management game, the colony management game that pretty much a lot of the newer ones have taken their inspiration from RimWorld's Nomorias, which also is kind of old at this point, and a bunch of the others kind of survival and colony management games that have made things in multiple ways. But this one is kind of the granddaddy of all of them. Obviously not the one that obviously started the whole thing, but well, kinda did, but anyways. And a lot of the ideas that the other games have are very much inspired by the features of Dwarf Fortress, which has a ridiculous amount of features and ridiculous amount of depth on a lot of things. One could say, I sometimes say that, too much depth in some of the things where a little less would be needed, and maybe time and effort could be put on other things that might be more useful for the whole of the game. But it's also nice having that insane depth on some things. So let's jump on the settings. Dwarf Fortress, the ASCII version and this new version on the Steam, are both very, very customizable in many ways. And there's a lot of settings in the settings here. Not just the video, audio stuff that usually is in video games, but you also have a lot of options for just population caps and how things work in game, and like literally like just from pathing and like caps how many children and visitors and whatnot can be on your map, and then also key bindings. Also, there's a lot of settings that are not in the game, but can be adjusted through game files. And also, this Steam release supports modding, so we'll probably see lots of really interesting things jumped in the mods, which are also, you can already get and have been around like on the Baitwell forums and so on for a couple of decades at this point. Back in the day, I used to do some modding for the game, making my own races, altering some other races, and changing how terrain generation works and all kinds of things. Like, so you can adjust a lot, and a lot of the files are also totally plain text files. So with basically no skill of any kind or knowledge in like a coding or programming or anything, if you just poke around, you can just see what adjusting values does, and it's actually really fun. So we're probably going to be seeing a lot of mods doing just changes to like no aquifers or something like that, which doesn't seem to be optional. Like you have enabled cave-ins in here and weather and so on, but no like aquifer setting or something like that. That used to be a thing at some point, but it can be also done currently just going through this actual text files and editing a few things. And there's apparently like notifications and changes like that are currently adjustable there. But hopefully we would see more of those features. Like we already have a bunch of these, and then you're gonna see more in the game once we get in there. Hopefully more of these will be brought into here, and I'm sure someone will eventually make like a the vanilla enhanced how to adjust these to have the best experience of the game, which may not be for everyone out of the box. But anyways, that's the settings. I'm just gonna go with the current ones that I used earlier on the streaming. I'm doing a little lower resolution and everything. It says 1920 by 1080 there, but it's actually 16 by 900 currently what I'm using, and scaling. You might want to scale the interface a little higher up there, so you just turn this off and scale your interface a little bigger. I'm using 10, and you might want to do bigger. I'll show you an example why you should not go too high on that. And then also improving the width of your interface. It might be a little low by default, and so on. Alright, so normally you would go to create a new world here. So welcome to Dwarf Fortress, and you can select a lot of settings in here, which allows you to create a randomly generated, well, not randomly, but procedurally generated world, which creates you like terrain, the whole continent, and passes time on it, so it gets erosion and all kinds of things, and creates this like landscape with history, and then it populates with creatures and civilizations and so on. How you set here, a lot of this is adjustable in the files as well, so you can make a lot difference than what these settings allow you if you go and poke the files yourself. There is also the detail mode, and a lot of this stuff, a lot of this can be found in the files themselves, and you can also create some new parameters and all kinds of things, which you can really mess up your world with this as well, so be careful doing too crazy things, but you can do a lot of things with this. And then this will generate your world with a history of peoples, races, wars, some historical figures, artifacts, poetry, works of art, and all kinds of things happening in the world. And as it's procedurally generated, your every run is basically different because of that, because literally everything from the history of the people and who survived and how the landscape formed, and everything is different, and it can create all kinds of fun quirks, like elves happen to be the rulers of dwarves, or a certain race doesn't exist anymore because it died out in the world creation, which especially back in the day used to happen quite a lot, which is fun. So let's just create let's go back to the basic options. We'll just do a very small short history, because this generation does take a while, because especially if you go really big, long history, generation of the sites and everything might take a while, and then it might have to go through the generation of the world several times, because it might create a world that's not really suitable for anything, and then it rejects that, and so on and so on. But usually it doesn't take too long, especially if you go for a small one, but it can be really fun to play a big world with a long history and lots of civilizations and everything. It's definitely a lot better than it used to be back in the day when I played. Also, I guess modern PCs are much much better these days, so it doesn't take like 3 hours to generate the world as it used to sometimes for me, especially with those funky settings I played sometimes. But it's a really cool way to generate the world. So let's just go here, and I'll be talking while it's doing its thing. So it will take a while it's loading objects, and then it starts generating the world. And we can see in a second. So as you can see, it's doing the vanilla stuff, which shows that there's mods as well. Well, that was really quick. Okay, so creating the smallest is pretty fast. And we'll just keep this tiny world that we have here. So we're gonna just keep the world and go to the main menu, so it just unloads all the information and saves. And then we're gonna start a new game in an existing world, which is this one. There is also a really cool thing about this, that you can technically play multiple forts in the same world, especially if you just abandon them and so on. So you can have like a one fort, then you just leave it there and just let the fort be there. You can either abandon it or just leave it to ruin or whatever, and you can just keep it there basically as a core, like a fort that you had done before, and then you can make another fort in that same civilization, another dwarf civilization with modding, maybe a goblin civilization, and so on. And it's really cool. So we're gonna start the game in this world and load it up. And in the ASCII version of this game, you have two modes, which will also be available eventually in this one. So you have currently the Dwarf Fortress mode, which obviously is the main one that most of the people play. But there is also Adventure mode, which is basically a roguelike experience in these generated worlds. And if you have your own fortresses in them as well, you can basically play a roguelike character, which the system for that is also pretty in-depth, but a very also strange and different from other roguelikes that you might be. It's very like old style roguelike, but still being different from like ADOMs and NEPHACs and all that. It's an interesting experience, but it's not definitely for everyone. Not even some like fans of roguelikes. It's quite a different beast, which is not currently available yet in this version at launch, but will be. It's one of the main priorities to get out next, hopefully with the bug updates. You also have Legends mode, so you can go into Legends here, and you can look at the historical figures and like what actually happened in the history. Like there is a whole written history of your world that you got generated, like artifacts. We know there is a sad silk in our world, which is one of the legendary spiked bronze ball, and then you see the history of that as well. And in a long history of the world, we went very, very short history. So in a history of the world, this might actually show up in a lot of places, in different places, different figures, different historical figures, and so on, lobbing it around and so on. Like there's a whole history of your world that it can be really fun to read, especially if there are some really quirky things happening in your history generation, like a demon controlling your nation or something like that. Like, how did that happen? This is the place to go and check those out. But no, we're gonna go for the Fortress mode, which is the actual mode. We're gonna skip tutorial, which is nice though. So this does actually include tutorial, which is really, really nice for new players of this game, even though it doesn't go into super in-depth of all the features, and having some knowledge of the Dwarf Fortress is definitely nice to have. Even with all of these new additions and the tutorial and the graphical version, Wiki, the Dwarf Fortress Wiki will be your friend, and hopefully also updated as much as possible for this new version. Even though like majority of the wiki will be valid for this version from the previous versions and everything, but yeah, don't be afraid to read some wiki for sure. So I'm gonna go on my own, and when you're embarking on a tutorial or embarking on your own, it kind of warns you that this may not be the best one. It does offer you like, do you want a nice location for your first playthrough? Which is definitely recommended for new players, unless you know what you're doing. Like there's a... this is our current world, and sadly, this is one of the things that I would love to have in the game. So inside the Fortress mode, you can actually zoom in and zoom out. In this mode, you can't really zoom on the map or anything. As you can see, stuff is kind of small and hard to see. Like there's a tower over there. There are some cities. These are very hard to see, unless you're like really, really zooming in yourself, your eyeballs into the screen. And having some kind of zoom feature here would be amazing, but it doesn't exist. Other than you can actually click in an area, and then it zooms into this one, and then you're gonna skitter around like this. But sadly, also like these red squares, this is the Dark Goblin Pit here, which is indicated by this spot here, or this tower here is a tower icon. But on the map, it's just a red square. But you can see a lot of information in here, which you're gonna see up here. Is like temperatures, how much trees you have, what kind of vegetation, what kind of surroundings you have, which usually is like a just wilderness or a peaceful, some sinister haunted ones. There's gonna be undead living in this region. So you're gonna see what kind of stuff is there. There's also like rivers, streams, brooks, major rivers, of course, lakes and rivers and coastlines, and all kinds of things, which I will obviously change a lot how you're playing. Like if you want to drink some water, obviously dwarves drink beer, but water might be nice to have. Also, like temperature, if it's gonna freeze or not. And then there's all the like the different mountains and whatnot. And also you can see here all the information about what kind of terrain you're gonna have. So that's basically how your map is gonna be layered. Like shallow sand is gonna be on the top, then a little bit of soil, then there's gonna be a light aquifer, which is painful to deal with if you don't know what you're doing. Basically, it's not too bad, but it requires a little bit of a trickery. It's basically groundwater layer, so you'll have basically water flooding everywhere. Here it's not too bad anymore, like it used to be. Used to be quite rough, but it's not as bad as anymore. And then it shows like you get iron, silver, copper, nickel, and zinc and whatnot inside this area. You can also see some information like the elevation here, which indicates well, elevation obviously, like it's pretty low lowlands here, water is water, and then it gets into the mountains and really high peaks and so on. The more interesting one here is the show cliffs grades. So this is a a funky heat map of a kind of hard to read, but obviously red means it's much more steep cliffs or grade, as you can see from the kind of icon, and then green is flat. So if you have a massive difference of green to red here, means there's actually quite a massive cliff right here. And it's actually kind of interesting if you're picking a location. Let me show you. So you can actually click embark button here, which gives you this icon here. So you can choose where you embark, and you're gonna increase the size of this, which will affect the map size. It's a 6x6 by the maximum, and then a smaller 4x4 is the recommended, which I feel is a little small in for my liking. 5x5 is better, but obviously this affects performance. But I don't really know yet. I haven't played enough hours and doing massive projects and building stuff to know how much it affects these days. Back in the day, it definitely could really cripple your FPS of the game to a screeching halt sometimes. But it has been improved immensely over the years, so that's great. And also you can see when we'll click out of this, so you can see like this one is the Vanished Hills, the Land of Kin, Temperate Grassland. And when I go here to this Spike of Honor, which is the mountain, you can see the temperatures, terrain, and everything is a little different on these both. So when you are embarking, you can embark basically between, like this is covering now the mountains and some of the hills and some of the, like here for example, we are covering the mountains, the forest, and the hills. And part of your map will be then, here will be plains, part of this will be forest, and part of this will be mountain. So this square actually that you're placing will affect, and it also allows you to be in basically multiple different biomes. So this biome will have the stuff that's currently visible, then this one will have the gold and other stuff, and this one will have the forest and so on. So you can strategically place yourself between like multiple biomes to get the most out of your terrain, basically. We'll just pick maybe not too cold region or anything scary. Surroundings calm and a small brook. I would like some trees though. Let's see. Zoom out from here. Like it's kind of hard to see from here. There's lots of goblins there. We'll be like here. So maybe this looks great. We'll just embark on this river mouth here, and we'll come for this area has salt water. It might be very difficult to survive here, which obviously will cause some issues. Water might have to be pumped out and carried away. So not the easiest location to choose or start from, but we'll just this is good for a showcase, I guess. And we are not playing that long in a colony anyways. So you can just go immediately, which gives you the basically default set of whatever you want. You can also change the difficulty here. Enemies off. You can play totally peaceful, and you can play economy hard or normal, whatever you want. And then there's also custom settings. So enemy civilization can attack, mega beast, were beast, and so on. All of these can be toggled however you want. And then there's all kinds of triggers when and how stuff happens or doesn't happen. Like you can really change these to your liking. This can be done here or in a file, which might offer a few more options as well. And then you can prepare carefully. So you go here, and you got your 7 dwarfs to choose from, and you can choose 10 points of skills for them. There's crucial ones like all the basic mining and so on. Then there's laborers, which is mostly the crafting ones. This is like raw materials, and then goods that you produce out of them. Then combat is obviously combat stuff. And then you have other skills like swimming, medical skills, like diplomacy skills, and trading skills, and so on, and then all kinds of different versions, like different ones. Like your leader might want to have some leading skills and tacticians and so on. And there's a lot. A lot of these are not really that needed as well. Like dancer might be not the best choice to get in your colony as a first 7. And there's a lot of options here. You can name your colony, you can name your group, and you can create a symbol for your group. Like you can actually choose like a historical figure from your faction, and then make it the way you want. Basically, you can really customize that. But we're gonna, I guess we're just gonna go with it doesn't really matter. We'll just go with the default. No skills needed. Who needs skills? No, actually, let me just give them a couple skills, maybe. A little bit of mining. Some woodcraft and carpentry. I'm not gonna actually spend all the skills. Then we'll do like a fisher dwarf. The default choice is definitely not bad. Especially if you haven't played the game too much and don't know what kind of things you might need. Do a planter and brewer there. We got to have some alcohol. Alright, let's just embark this. We have a lot of points available, but we don't really need to see them. So we are ready to prepare the map and go into here. And I really like the embark menu. It's very similar to the other version of the game. We seem to have embarked in the middle of winter. Oh, this is great. But with having the keyboard and, well, not keyboard, but the control with the mouse and everything in the menus makes it a lot easier to select them. Also, you can save the profiles, although sometimes it's a little annoying with the profiles, because if you save, like, this game is very in-depth, and you chop a tree, for example. Let's try the earth here quickly. I'm gonna pause the game. So here's, for example, a persimmon tree trunk. So it's a big persimmon tree here. If you can chop down, and if you choose wood, for example, in your starting wagon, which is this wagon here, we currently have lime wood, and you have to choose a specific wood type, like lime wood, and then you save it in your profile. But then you embark into a next area with that saved profile, and that region does not have lime wood, which then removes it from your list. Same for like animals, like you can have cow meat, and you can have pork, and you can have a chicken breast, basically, or prepared brains of some animal, and in your embark menu, and fish and so on. And then you might have like a long list of items when you embark that's like, these are not available here, and you need to redo them. So it might be good idea to select like generic ones that you might expect to be in most of the environments, especially the ones that you want to embark on when you do a saved profile, or just leave them out and then you basically fill in as you go. So this is our map here, and you can, as I said, this is the basic view, and you can zoom in and zoom out. So this is a max zoom in my current settings, so you can see a lot more of the map, and you can zoom in to see the dwarves a little better. And it's actually great to see these little dwarves finally in graphics and not just as ASCII. There's multiple layers, so scroll wheel, you can see on the left here, on the right, you can see scrolling up and down, so you can see different elevations. There's quite a lot of elevations in this game. Like you can go really high and you can go really deep, and there's all kinds of stuff to dig down in there. And I really like how this is done. It does take a little bit of time to get used to. Like you can go higher and higher, and you see like these lower elevation things get foggier and foggier, and you can see them. One of the biggest complaints I had actually back in the day when Dwarf Fortress moved from a 2D plane to having a third Z level as well, is that it's really hard to go up and down and see multiple levels and what's actually happening there, especially if it's a really bumpy terrain or something, and seeing like fighting and goblins on your dwarfs moving around. But with this, you can go like, well, the trees are plugged into view now, but you could go like higher up a little bit, and then you see like multiple Z levels at the same time, and it's one of the best things about this graphical version. So let's go quickly through the UI here. So you have the top bar here, which shows the name of your place and all of the information about like wealth and so on, trade information, and then you see your population. You can see their happiness. So you can see that we are currently 7 in the middle, and if your population starts moving towards this way, then you might have some issues. and you might want to deal with that, and then if they're happy, they're happy. You can also see your stocks here, and in Dwarf Fortress, until you have a bookkeeper, you have this squiggle here, so it's about 20 barrels. So before you can actually see exact values of like how much stuff you have and so on, you actually have to have a bookkeeper, and same with the drinks and all of this information here. And this is a great place where I can show how the UI scaling can screw you over, which I actually had a. So I only saw like a couple of these early on. I was like, okay, I got those, and I didn't realize that my UI scaling was, I think, 140, like this. You can see like half of them vanished, and I didn't actually know that was a thing. So if you put your UI scaling with too much low resolution and not enough width as well, too high, you can't actually see all the information in here. It just gets hidden basically, and it's kind of important to sometimes know, like you might see that, oh no, I don't have any food. Oh yeah, but actually I have like a million tons of fish somewhere in the corner because it was hidden in the menu here. So the UI scaling and that can cause several issues like that, which hopefully gets sorted out. There's also some menu clipping issue, like if you go down here. So this is your basically your main menu of things where you have your all your dwarfs. You can assign jobs and you can see information of them and so on and so on. And then you have your pets and whatnot in here. So if your UI width is not enough, these will run off the edge of the UI. And actually, I was trying to find the butchering icon for the longest time, but it was rolled over into here and I couldn't find it anywhere. So there's all kinds of this kind of small issues with the UI. Also, sometimes some things show up over or under the UI menu, so it looks really wonky. And there's definitely some polishing needed there. But let's look at this menu a little bit longer. So this is the main Open Citizen Information menu. And these all basically are more or less open the same thing. As you can see, it just changes tabs between them. So you can directly go to any of them, but I often end up just clicking this and going to see different things in here. So you have your creatures, which is your dwarfs. It's a good way to quickly click on your dwarfs and seeing lots of information. There's a lot of information hidden in tabs here, and setting like tasks for your guys and so on and so on. And you can see their personalities and values and preferences and needs and so on. As you can see, there's a lot of detail on every single creature, and same detail goes to civilizations and skills, like knowledge. Like this person knows several poems and dance forms, which are then explained in great detail of like musical format. This is just one explanation of this musical thing. And it goes into basically music theory and all kinds of things with fantasy. Procedurally randomly generated music with generated instruments. And it's kind of like that mad scientist level detail that is kind of unnecessary, really, for the playing of the game. But it's also amazing to have for players who really want to dive deep into this. And also, if you don't care about this, you don't have to care about that, which is also a really good thing. And going back to here, so then you have your tasks, which this should show. So, for example, if we set up here, so this is your bottom bar here, we'll set up, for example, this tree to be cut down here. And it will now show up, if I unpause the game quickly, should show up in the task list. Well, not yet, I guess. Anyways, but this is where you can see, like, we are building this and so on normally. And this is your places, so if you have zones, like taverns, bars, meeting zones, private rooms and everything, and this is listed here, locations, stockpiles, workshops and so on, farms can be found here. And this is your labor window, and this is one of the kind of annoying parts of the game that will also very hardly confuse new players. Because this is basically the default labor things that you can set for your dwarves. So for example here I can set miners, these guys are going to be mining or not. You can also set to lock, so this worker will only do the one tasks, like I'm gonna could set him to like mining and wood crafting and so on. So you can set these to only do that that task, or just do mining, but you can also do whatever you want basically. If you want. And this has like miners and woodcutters and hunters and planters and whatever. But you can also add new work details. And a lot of the things that are possible to be done as work are actually not listed in this, like by default. So, for example, you can see that for stoneworking we have stone cutters and engravers, but we don't have masons and stone crafters, for example. So, if you want to make a mason, you would have to go to the work orders here and go for stoneworking. So you could select all of the stoneworking, which the stone cutters, which is stone cutting, and engravers, stone engraving, doesn't actually do. So you don't have like a general, like, it would have been better if there was a like this stone cutters and engravers was stone working by default, and then you could go for the granular selection yourself in the custom ones. But instead, you have custom option, like the granular options, but not the generic option. Unless you just let them do whatever you want. But I want my dwarves to be working exactly on what I want to get done by this specific dwarf. And sometimes I don't want. I want some stone working dwarf. I want him to do only masonry, or only stone carving, or only stone engraving and stone cutting and so on. Like there's a very specific tasks I might want to dedicate. Also, skills for these are sometimes different, which are then also, like if we show in case of the stone crafting. So we go. Oh, but we don't have the skills, right? But just believe me, they are different. He has stone cutter and stone carver. There we go. So he doesn't even have mason yet. So it's kind of weird option, and I'm like about 8 hours into my current run, and I'll show that in a second as well. And I have like several of these, like dozen of these, like here made for different kind of jobs. You're gonna give them a name and everything, so you're gonna set like this. This would be the stoneworking, for example. You just say or masonry, but whatever you want in here. So you would have to set that. It would be also nice to give them icons. Because when you select, let's say, this mining guy, Adil, in the top here, and we'll make him a woodcutter, and we'll make him a hunter, and then we do a custom one, this one, and custom one, that one, and suddenly it only fits 4, and it doesn't even show all of these options that he might be working on. Plus, just seeing a Roman numeral 2 there is like, I don't remember what this job is, but I guess he's a number 2. So there is definitely a lot of improvement that could be done in this whole system here. And it's kind of annoying to find sometimes the reason why they don't actually do work, and then you find out that under this all the way down here, other jobs, floor and wall construction is here. Not carpentry, not masonry or anything. There is a separate setting for wall and floor construction, which took me a little annoyance to get worked out, because I set all of my workers here to only do the specific ones I selected from here. Of course, if you just want them, have them free floating on doing whatever task they want to do, then it's obviously fine. But if your guy is dedicated miner, you don't want him to be fishing, because you want him to be just going through the mountain with his pickaxe and all the skills. Same, you don't want your metal crafter to be doing carpentry while your cook is doing the metal work and doesn't know any of the skills and ruins your amazing steel weapon because he doesn't have any idea how to make one, because there is quality to items and so on. So this menu is kind of not great, but there is also like these options here that you can do, which are really great, like refuse, like you can save corpses or save bones and so on. Like some of these things you will likely want to change eventually, but you should definitely take a look at these and know how these do. There's a lot of information in Dwarf Fortress in general, which will be kind of rough for new players, but can recommend definitely taking a look at through these. Then you have work orders. So let me actually just quickly show this, and we're gonna actually go and we're gonna be quit without saving. Here, I'm gonna be loading my current save. The Stone Sanctum. Looks like we've saved Late Winters. Looks good. There's an outsave earlier. So this is what I've been playing a little bit, trying to learn the new UI and remember all the things. So I'm not super far in. We're basically end of the first year in this save file. And I'm just trying things. So this is my current fort here, basically. We have a small entrance down here. And a trading spot and some random... let's zoom out a little bit. Some stone in here and so on. And you can see my drinks and everything up here. And then we have a small tunnel that goes into the fort here, and there's my current level of progress. So what I wanted to show with this was that in the work orders, so normally when you do things in Dwarf Fortress like crafting, you have like a work station here, like carpentry. So this is my carpenter's workshop, and you can go here and you're gonna select workers who can work in here. This is free for everyone, but you can also specifically, like this is this guy's workshop and so on. And then this is a work orders that get added to this. And normally when you want to, let's say we want a bed, so you go here and make a bed. It makes one bed, and then you want a second bed, and a third bed, and a fourth bed. And you can see how this can, in a big fortress, making lots of these things can get pretty tedious, especially with a lot of furniture like tables and chairs or whatever. This is how you start your run, basically, making all of these. And the way to improve this is to dedicate. So if you go here, and we got nobles and administrators, so you can get a manager and a bookkeeper. Bookkeeper will tidy up your numbers so you see exactly how much of these things you have, even though you don't really need like full information. If you know that there's hundreds of thousands of them, that's fine. But it's nice to have the exact numbers as well. But yeah, the manager is the one you need, and he goes and does work on his. This is our current manager's office here. Kind of missing a wall because I'm renovating the walls currently, and the door is also kind of just lying next to the next to the wall there. But you need a table and a chair in your nobles here, so there's a requirement of an office for a manager. And then other nobles and all of these might require different things that you can see listed here. But the minimum of a office is required for the manager. And he goes into his manager and then manages your work orders. So in the work orders, you can set all kinds of things like make me 10 of these boxes. And you can select how many workshops can work on that. You can also select which ones will be working on that and how many. And then you can select how many of these we want. Like I've added infinite barrels to be made. A work order for infinite barrels, which then has a condition added to it that if you have less than 5 available barrels, they'll make some more. And so on. There's different options you can do for that. You can also add different conditions, like if you need to make barrels, but you're low on wood, you can add that as long as we have enough wood and don't use every single bit of wood for it, we'll make some barrels. And this is one of the better things about the whole game, actually, in comparison to other similar survival colony games. It's really easy to manage and build a lot of things really quickly from here because it gets propagated from this menu into all the workshops without having to, like, I want to make 3 in this one and 3 in that one and 3 and so on and so on. And then also being able to set up keeping up stocks with conditions, and it's really fantastic. This is an absolutely fantastic feature, and you should definitely familiarize yourself with this and get an admin manager who can do all of this stuff for you in your fort as quick as possible. It's just a table and a chair and then assigning a guy on it. Of course, that will make him busy with that stuff, but being able to do this is amazing, and it's such a good feature. And you can also prioritize things and the 2 different settings. And you can also select the specific materials if you want to, for example, making the cages out of metal or something. You can change them there as well. And then this was the nobles and administrators menu. This is where you see your annoying nobles, and when you want to kick them into a lava shower or somewhere when they get really annoying, and you can change it also get sheriffs and military commanders and so on, and all of this in this menu. And then there's objects. You can see these are actually artifacts. This is the one we just made earlier today. We made a bone cage. And then there's also like a justice system in this game as well. When you get a sheriff, and sometimes dwarves have their own lives and everything. They might hate each other. They might murder each other accidentally or things or anything. So there is actually a whole justice system within your colony as well that you can deal with, and there's cold cases and so on and so on. That's a fantastic fun part of the game as well. So this is basically the whole menu. Like you can see, it starts from the citizens and it ends in the justice. And as you can see, as I mentioned, some of the UI stuff is a little still needs some polish, like dwarves are covering my icon. over there. And then let's take a look at the rest of stuff as well. Let's go here. So there is a recenter hotkey locations option here, and I have actually done a couple of them here. So we can select specific locations, like this one is my main hall, and then I press this button, which I recentered my map in here. So wherever so let's go like up here, I can just press F1, and it takes me directly here, and I have a F2 that takes me direct to the front of the colony, basically. And you can save it like these camera positions for yourself to make navigating, because you can have like hundreds of levels in this Z levels. Like I have currently up elevations 63, and let's see how deep can we go. It goes to negative levels, so there can be like 100 something negative levels. So we're going pretty deep, yeah, 100 and something. Anyways, so that's a lot of scrolling with your mouse wheel to get up and down if you have a lot of levels, and you might want to go dig deep for all the fancy stuff down in the caverns and so on, which I haven't done actually yet. But yeah, seeing that option is really great. There's also on the surface at this location, so we're gonna just quickly plop the surface, and then there's also deepest discovered area at this location. So these are basically just same as this one basically, but like a pre-made. You go to the surface and you go for the deep caverns with this. You can also display numerical value on water in here. So now here you see that this is a 7 out of 7, which is the depth from 0 to 7 basically in this game. So lava and water and everything, liquids show this number, and you can hide it as well if you don't want to see it. Then there's a slope indicator here, which gives up here. So up arrows are going up and down arrows are going down, down slopes, and we only have like there's down slopes here, and then there are up slopes in the other elevation. So if you want an addition indicator, like how the slopes are working, sometimes it might be kind of hard to see. Like I didn't actually see that there's so many down slope here, and especially if you're removing slopes, like I did from the front of my colony here, I removed all the slopes. This is a fantastic button to have. You have also options, so same as escape in here, which gives you the save quit and settings, and there's also a guidance info here, which I haven't actually gone through too much. Well, I have some of it viewed, but there's if you're missing on some information, this is one place to look for information, but also recommend forums and wiki as well for more complex issues that you might come across. And let's see, so down here we have digging orders, so you can dig holes, stairwells, all the usual stuff. You can do area, but you can also draw a squiggly thing if you want to. Then you can cancel that, maybe with the area instead of everything. So you can easily dig and whatever. And then there's tree chopping. Well, tree chopping is tree chopping. Trees nowadays are not just one tile, like in, for example, RimWorld. If you play RimWorld, like these plants and trees are just one tile. Trees are actually these tree trunks here, and then they actually go up multiple branches and can be actually quite massive trees, which was an interesting change back in the day. Like there's actually this massive tree here, and they just go up, and you can kill yourself by having tree log drop on your head if you don't pay attention. And then you have plant gathering, like there's all kinds of these plants, like broad beans, which are dead actually currently because it's winter time coming, soybeans and whatnot. There's a lots of stuff growing here that you can be collecting for yourself. And then there is a smooth option. You can smooth walls. So I actually have, if you go up here, oops, these walls are smooth and these floors are smooth. Although annoyingly, when you have up or downstairs, the edges of this cannot be smoothed, which is kind of visually annoying part of that. But you basically improve the niceness of the rooms by smoothing them or just building some walls. And you can also engrave them with all kinds of fancy dwarven imagery to make it even more nicer for your dwarves. This was the cancel everything, mining and etc. Then you have all the structures in here. And this is a fantastic menu. I love this addition to the game compared to having to, for example, I want to build a bed. So previously I was like BFB, which actually still works and gets you to the bed. But it's just so much nicer clicking here. I want furniture and then I want a bed. And then this is great as well. Keep building better placement. So you place one, select the bed, place next, select the bed. You can also click this to show different qualities of the beds and distances. Otherwise, it just lumps up. All willow beds will be this. All alder beds will be on a different one. So it lumps them up in these. Also, it is nice that there is this button, because previously it would be just willow bed, willow bed, willow bed, willow bed, willow bed, and so on. So if you don't really care that much about the quality or anything, you just click and you have that, and it just keeps clicking on that. The one thing that I'm not really happy about is though, for example, if I select the chair here and I press back, which is the right mouse button by default, it just fully exits out of that. And sometimes I feel it would be nice to like build this ramp and then press once back, and it would take me back to this menu to select the next one, and then maybe a second, but like double click would get me out of that fully. But it is what it is. Minor annoyance for me. Then there's stockpiles. So obviously stockpiles, if you played any game like this, it's just a stockpile where you can store all the things, or a custom selection. This one is fantastic as well. Being able to select like ammo, I want these ammo, and maybe I want a few of those, and I want this in my stockpile, and only these. And then you just build a stockpile with this information. It's actually kind of nice. And it also, once you've done it, it's super customizable here. Like I want to change things and add more, or expand the stockpile like this. And it's really great, really great. Good stockpile system. Then we have zones. So this is a very important part of the game as well. To set like your bedrooms, dormitories, dining halls, barracks, office, and so on and so on. Like all of this information is in here. And for a new player, it might be a little confusing when you're setting these. Also, behind these menus, there's even more things. So, for example, this one here, I need to say. So this one is set to a meeting area. You can click on the meeting area, and there's actually this button here that then allows you to make the location, for example, to inn, tavern, new temple, library, guild hall, hospital, and so on. So you find some more menus behind these once you click on that one. And this one is, for example, my animal pasture here, and you can set that to be actually a different one. And also another button here is dedicating different people or animals or so on to that zone basically. And this is my pasture, so I've set all my animals to be in here. Similarly, there is another one which is burrows. So my main area here is a big burrow, which is basically kind of your home, but you can have multiples of burrows. Like you can have your main burrow where you work and whatnot, and then you make one small corner into a second burrow, and then you send your people in there when a panic happens. So you have like basically safety zone. Or if you want to limit people, for example, this zone is currently not assigned to anyone because I actually disabled it. But I made this on this level, and I put all the children in here, so the children won't run away outside and get eaten by a goblin or something, or kidnapped by a goblin. They are safely within the burrow, which is the main part of the fortress. So it's basically another way to like a way to limit where your people work and do their things. And you could even do some kind of separation of things with that. Like these guys work only on this corner, and these guys work only on this corner. And then there's maybe a whole other group that works on the whole area, bringing stuff for all of them. And you can like during a siege, you might want to have a burrow to send people to go inside instead of running out around wherever they feel like, and so on. So burrows are very important. And then you have a minecart system. So minecarts can be used to haul things. You need to carve paths for the minecarts and so on into the floors, and then build minecarts. They're a great way of, but very more like a end game mechanic to haul things. Really cool. Also easy way to kill your dwarves with a cart full of iron ingots or something, and just crashing it into people. Also fun as a defensive thing. Just a massive cart full of stone barreled into the goblin group. This game brings out the worst in people sometimes when you want to create some intricate, very complex ways to kill your invaders, basically. And then you have an option to set traffic areas. So you can set like your main corridor here, or like here I have a road. So I might want to set like this area as a high traffic. So they would the pathfinding of the game assigns basically values or a cost of moving through the terrain or through the like how it decides the pathfinding. And when you encourage it to that this is a low cost area to walk through, and you can then border it by like very very high cost. The AI will try to pathfind through the easier path that you've told that okay, this is the path you should be taking, and this is a great way to manage movement inside your colony and in for the enemies. Sometimes this was a really good way to manage also like FPS and things like that in your fort when traffic gets really big. Also, widening your tunnel so when there's a lot of traffic might be a really good idea sometimes. But that's for a bigger fort. Like this is a small fort of 22. Default population cap being like 200. You can do all. You might have to adjust your approach on things depending how many goblins how many dwarves you have in your colony. And then we have an option here to designate items, so you can forbid items, so you can tell them to dump these items, smelt these items and so on, and remove hidden designations and so on. So this is great for do not touch this stuff out here while Goblin Siege is coming. Do not pick up this random thing. There's also options, actually are they... Either they are in a one of the text files you can edit, but they might be also available in yeah, like hauling, like you can ignore animals, ignore food, ignore furniture, ignore bodies is a really good one, for example. And all of these, ignore refuse outside, ignore refuse totally, and so on. Like selecting these when there's like a big fight, for example, outside might be a good idea, or in general, like don't touch these, don't touch corpses outside, because sometimes if you haven't set the perro correctly, then your haulers are like, oh, one of the goblins died. Well, let's just run all 50 of our haulers immediately into the massive goblin invasion to pick up that one body. And then you have more bodies, and then I was like, oh, we need to go pick up the dead dwarfs now, and so on. So it's a good setting as the stuff to fill with them. You can also see the world map again here, because even if you settle in here, you can still have the whole fort information, and you can also do missions on the map. So there's missions and things. You can see missing citizens and lots of information available in the world as well. And then there's squads, which is used for the military stuff, which I don't have really set up currently, and I haven't actually really experienced the military stuff too much in this yet. But it's also available in the corner here, and fiddling with this. You have to set up a military commander and create squads and training and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of depth in that as well. How to do combat, and often in this combat, the combat is just preparation, either with traps or other ways of just burning goblins with lava. But the actual like melee combat is just well, here's a sword, here's some training beforehand, and maybe some armor as well, and then you go this way, and good luck. But sometimes that good luck is fun to watch. But yeah, this is basically Dwarf Fortress with the graphical version. It is really, really fun and great to have finally the graphical version. A lot of people have waited to jump into this because they couldn't really get into the SD version. I think this is definitely a great place for those people to go in, and anyone curious about it. Even though it does have a lot of the underlying clunk still, and weird menus and weird ways of doing things, and there is also still some bugs and new bugs with the UI and so on. Some missing things as well that people are like, where is this? It might be just hidden somewhere that we don't know yet. But yeah, it's sometimes some of this is kind of hard to use still. And it might be still, for some of those people who are kind of on the edge of like, I want to play Dwarf Fortress, but I'm not sure, it might be still needs a little bit more time in the cooker. There's definitely a lot of quality of life that could still be in there. A lot of quality of life was added with this, but there could be like tons more polish in lots of the features, and like so a lot of this, like I was scratching my head most of the stream. Like I literally have thousands of hours, like several thousand hours in the older versions of these, and I was like, what is this? How does this work? But this is also partly learning the new menu, and also like, this doesn't work anymore like how it used to work, and all of that. But it is still not the easiest game to approach. Like I was hoping that I was hoping and expecting maybe a little too much on that quality of life and polish and ease of access for a new player. As I obviously, because I really love the game, and I've always really loved the game, and I wanted more people to be able to experience the depth and amazingness of the Dwarf Fortress. But it's not. It's getting there. It's like close, but it's not there fully yet. In my opinion, like it could be a lot better. If you have patience and willingness to give it a chance, it is fantastic fun. I will be sinking many more hours into this myself in coming days. But yeah, that's my quick review of 55 minutes, an hour-long review of Dwarf Fortress and all of the graphical glory that we have now. A little mixed bag of awesomeness and bad things, but nothing like super bad. I heard some people are having like crashing issues and all kinds of other issues, and like 4K monitors might have a little trouble doing things. Although, if you're having issues, check the Steam forums and also fiddle with the files, not just the in-game menus and everything, all of these settings and everything. While these can do a big difference for you in many things. Also, like difficulty turning off like weather and temperature and all of these can help you a lot. But also, definitely look at the wiki and the forums, like I said, and all of that, and don't be afraid to fiddle with some of the files. Like, I'm definitely going to be digging into the notification files myself. There's a notification system that pops on the side here, and it's really easy to miss those notifications, and it's not like if you play, like, for example, RimWorld, where the notifications pop here, and they're usually accompanied by pausing the game and the sound. Some of them do pause the game, and some of them do have like a pause when a wild force of darkness attacks your fort. Obviously, there's a pause and things like that. And when like a strange mood starts, it gives you an audible notification. But I kind of wish there was an option in game, like here, just notifications that you can just toggle sound and toggle pause or whatever on different happenings. I kept missing constantly, like even important notifications, like a pet died or something, or people were fighting. Like I missed. There was a fight in this map. Let's see if we still have those animals. We have no, we don't actually. We have kakapos and great horned owls currently, and a couple of visiting people. We had some snapping turtles, giant snapping turtles, and one of my dwarves got into fight with snapping turtle, and another one went to help. And he actually got permanent nerve and motor damage. I think it was Shinobi here. He got some motor nerve damage and sensory nerve damage, and ability grasp is somewhat impaired because of that fight. He lost a massive amount of muscle in his not like the hand, I think it was. And I didn't even notice that fight happened. There was just a pop-up here, and when we noticed actually that there was like a pool of blood at the door, like a trail of blood and a massive pool of blood at the door, is that, oh, someone was fighting apparently. So I wish the notifications and pausing would be a little better, but I'm going to definitely dig into the notification file outside the game myself. So, but that stuff really I wish I was actually in the game. But yeah. We'll see. We'll see how this develops from here. But definitely, if you're interested in Dwarf Fortress, take a peek at this game. It is fantastic. The soundtrack is kind of nice and chill. Maybe a little too chill to my preferable taste. But there's a couple of really good tracks in there. Drinks and Industry, for example. And the soundtrack is in game. You don't actually need to buy it separately. You have a soundtrack just in the game. But also you can support the or artists who made the music by buying the soundtrack separately, or in the Bandcamp, I think it was, or somewhere in there you can also buy the soundtrack. But yeah, that's my short review of the game. It's great, but it still needs some love and work for sure. Anyways, thank you for watching this marathon review, and I'll see you guys next time in other reviews. And also, if you want to see me play this game on many other games, I stream every day on twitch.tv/Pelanar from like European evening time. Still, I drop more or less somewhere in my night time. But anyways, I'll see you guys again with some more awesome games. So bye bye.